apologize. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that. And I'm going to pretty much start from the top because I realized I did have the audio bug playing with both going simultaneously. Sorry about that. I'm not super familiar with this at-home live stream setup. Ironically, I'm more at home and more comfortable with doing my commentary from behind the camera, pointing the camera the other way at the field. But today, well, the focus isn't really on me. The focus is on the tournament, but this is the best way I know how to kind of inform viewers, so that's how we'll do it. We are on a little bit of a delay from what I am saying versus what you are seeing. So I'll try to be aware of that and tailor my approach accordingly, but the audio should be fixed. I'm going to test it real quick. So I'll try to be aware of that. Anyways, so as I was saying, this live stream, this presentation, if you will, the purpose is going to be to go over the 2024 State Cups put on by the Maryland State Soccer Association primarily. However, I will field questions about the National Amateur Cup, the MDV Cup, which is the new cup put out by MSSA this season, as well as any other questions about the Super Soccer League, since I help run the Super League, about DMV Sports Media, and amateur soccer in this part of our country, in this part of the world, as best as I can. So I appreciate anyone who is joining us today. I know I haven't done a great job of putting out the message. Zach, I see you in the chat. Thanks for helping me out with the audio bug. I hope this isn't too cringe-worthy for anyone watching, but I'm just raw passion right now. I truthfully didn't do as much preparation as I should have, and this will help me hopefully grow my ability to present information in this format the hard way. So anyways, onwards we go. The Maryland, DC, Virginia Cup, as I stated earlier, is going to be a cup that stretches between those three regions. It's divided into two sections, the Potomac being the southern region and the Patapsco groups being the northern region. There will be three groups of three teams in each conference in north and south, so that's a total of 18 teams, and there will be of those 18 teams, the top two from each group, 2 of 3, will have a chance to play on in a knockout format. The way that teams will be able to advance, the top four seeded teams of the first place teams from each group in the Maryland, DC, Virginia Cup will have an opportunity to skip the first round of elimination And that's going to look something like this. Let me put the graphic on the screen. Well, so that didn't work. My sincere apologies. Well, image. Here we are. Image should show on the screen in just a moment. We will go through the Patapsco groups. These are the three groups in the Maryland and Northern DC region of the MDV Cup. Before we get into the structure, I guess, if you will, of how the schedule is going to play out. There's going to be three groups in the north as in the south. In Group A, Christos FC, the well-known, possibly most well-known club of the whole tournament, will lead a group also consisting of Columbia and Moco 1776. Columbia is another kind of storied club. They play their ball in Maryland Majors and have done well. They won the championship this year. They coach Carlos well. Look to, Carlos is, I believe, now in more of an owner-administrator role, manager role, passing off the coaching duties, but he'll have high hopes for his team. Moco 1776, they're a young squad, well run as well. They play the ball in UPSL. They also have a squad in the Maryland Premier League, an under-23 squad, which gives them eligibility to the tournament. Right now, the Maryland, DC, Virginia tournament is only open to affiliated USASA teams. So teams that just play their ball in UPSL are not eligible. They need to play in some affiliated league in order to have eligibility. So that's an important distinction. Christos, as I mentioned, they have a USL2 team in the summer, United Soccer League, that allows them to give opportunities to some of their college players. However, they have eligibility to this tournament by way of the Super Soccer League. They are consistently one of the better teams in the league. They're always a playoff team. They missed competing in the MSSL Championship this season by way of elimination from Ristosi FC, but they're always one of the powerhouses of the region. And they actually qualified for the U.S. Open Cup, the cup which allows amateur teams to compete against professional teams. And so we'll see them in March, possibly making another storied run and playing DC United like they did in 2017, which got them so much fame. So of those three clubs, only two will advance after they play their round robin, and only one could potentially be able to skip right through to the quarterfinal round of 8. Group B has Steel Pulse, Baltimore Kickers, and DC 11, formerly known as Cap City. That's another star-studded group. Steel Pulse won the Maryland Super Soccer League this year. They are the most successful Super Soccer League club in terms of playoff championships since its inception in 2021. They also went on to win the first inaugural Super Cup final over Virginia Dream in a thrilling 3-3 match, which went through double overtime and saw Steel Pulse victorious over Virginia Dream in that cup. They have a lot of incredible players, really an all-star roster, if you will. Next on the list is Baltimore Kickers, probably the oldest club in Maryland or Virginia that I know of. They go back as believed to the 1950s with the Baltimore Kickers and the German Heritage Foundation. Getting that wrong, I'm sorry, Fran, for misquoting that, but I do know that they are a very historic club. They play their ball in the Super Soccer League, in Maryland Super Soccer League Division II. They narrowly missed promotion this season through a penalty kick defeat to Heartland SG, but they're going to look to prove themselves amongst the big boys in the state cups this year, and they will have their work cut out against Steel Pulse and DC-11. DC-11, Cap City, they were the champions of the Washington Premier League down in Washington, D.C. WPL is one of the older, more established leagues. DC-11 have certainly made a name for themselves. Last year in the Cups, they came against Steel Pulse and narrowly lost a 3-1 game. I think the third goal was in garbage time, so it really was a closer game than that. But I know that Steel Pulse, their coach, had a lot of good things to say about Cap City, and likewise from Cap City, a lot of mutual respect there. So it'll be good to see that matchup. But really, if I'm going to be honest, probably the favorited teams to come out of Group A and B so far would be Christos in Group A, Steel Pulse in Group B. Some might disagree with that, and I encourage that disagreement because that's why they play the game, as my father would say, and we'll look to see some exciting matches. Group C, on the other hand, really it could be argued it could be anyone's group. Ristosi and A3 both play their ball in Maryland Super Soccer League. Ristosi won promotion last year, in the spring of 2023, and they actually earned a playoff spot in their first season by beating Christos 2-0 in the fall, and they made it all the way to the championship, losing a tough one to Steel Pulse 3-0, but they have a very good squad. A3 Highlanders won Division II this season. They put on a very convincing season, and they will now be promoted to Division I in the Maryland Super Soccer League. They've got a very good squad as well. Will see themselves as a contender in this MDV Cup. World Class Premier play their ball in the APL, American Premier League in Virginia. However, the club, World Class Premier, is based in Montgomery County, Maryland. They have a club which became the Maryland Bobcats. Let's see if I get this right. The World Class Premier, the club, had a very strong group. They won, I believe, NPSL and UPSL, and then part of the group merged off, becoming the professional team known as the Maryland Bobcats. However, another group continued to wear the banner of World Class Premier, and continues to this day. They played in Washington Premier League before going over to APL, and they had a strong playoff caliber season in APL, as they generally do. But they'll round out the third group team in Group C, and like I said, that'll be the group to watch. I don't see any of those teams as the clear favorite. If I had to choose, I think Ristosi has the edge with how they competed in Division I this season in the Maryland Super Soccer League. However, it kind of depends on where you sit. Obviously, I'm a little biased towards the Super Soccer League, and I'm sure those other teams will see themselves as contenders as well. We will move down to Virginia now. First, I just want to take a shout to welcome Fred, and thanks for the feedback. we'll slow it down a little bit. I'm excited and I'm nervous, as you can see, and I'll try to do my best to put this information in a palatable manner for the audience. So, welcome, Fred. Good to see you. One of our excellent officials, referees from the Super Soccer League. So, moving right along now, we have the Virginia side of things, the Potomac group. Group A in the Potomac group, on the Virginia side of things, has Nova FC, Alexandria United, and Yins United. Another really strong group. I think that would be what I would consider the group of death for Virginia. Nova FC, almost want to liken them as the Christos of Virginia. They have a USL2 side that plays during the summer. They have a lot of really strong college players, but they also have an EPSL, Eastern Premier League side that competes fall and spring, kind of year round, as well as an indoor MASL 3 team, which plays indoor during the winter. They're a really large club, strong squad that, they'll bring very, very tough side every week. Alexandria United play in the Virginia Super Soccer League. They were a playoff team in each season, spring and fall, of the Virginia Super Soccer League. They also field a side in the Washington Premier League, and they do have a UPSL side as well. This was their first season in UPSL, Alexandria United. To be honest, on their best day, they can hang with anyone. I will say, Alexandria, they're kind of a young side, and they don't always play to their potential. So there might be some days where they really disappoint themselves. However, I think that they're coming a long way. They have some of the best coaching of any of these sides we've mentioned. Simon Cargbo and Hatzel Diaz and Coach Beltran, they do a great job in kind of bringing these young men to play their best. And so they're my dark horse candidate in Group A to compete with Yins and Nova. Yins United, well, that brings us to our final contestant in Group A. Very storied club. They started out in the Washington Premier League, I believe, in maybe 2010, 2011. Hopefully one of my Yinsers can correct me on that. But they were, as the name suggests, a group of Pittsburgh guys initially, the Yinsers. And then I don't think any of the original Pittsburgh players are still in the team, but it's a group of guys that they don't practice. They don't, there are a lot of older guys, although they have incorporated some newer guys. But they know how to play the game. They're very high soccer IQ. They can just show up on Sundays and immediately communicate with one another how to play. And they will present a tough opponent. They already faced off against Nova FC in the U.S. Open Cup. They lost a 3-1 game, in which they did score a late goal by Jonathan Okafor. However, they're going to be relishing the chance to redeem themselves, I guess, against that Nova FC side, and I really like to catch that match because I think it'll be really an exciting one. So that rounds out Group A. Like I said, I think that's going to be the group of death from Virginia, but there's honestly not an easy group in here. Group B has and I should mention, Yins United now play their ball in the APL and have done very well each season, making it to the playoffs and to the championship several times. They were a playoff team again this season. So another APL team. In Group B, Aegean Hawks won the American Premier League. They're yet another storied club. They believe won the Amateur Cup back in 2012, 2014. I know they won the Regional Cup, and they were dominant in that period of time. both in the state and within the region. Um, and they kind of went dormant for a few years during COVID. Um, Not fully defunct, but they didn't compete anywhere to the level that, you know, some had been accustomed to seeing them. They didn't compete in the state cups, but now they feel they're ready to be back, and the world is excited for it. They're really, really well run. They've got some super strong players in the team. David Rosenberg is one of the leaders of that team that kind of helps bring everyone together. And it'll be exciting to see what they can do in this tournament. They're a team that, when they have everybody there, they're as good as anyone. However, it's another team full of veterans, kind of older players, so when life gets in the way, one guy has a wedding, one guy has to go do chores, and they only have 12 guys on the side, they can struggle a little bit against some of the younger teams. But I think that they'll bring everybody out for these state cups, especially since it's not as long as a league format. You know, it's kind of a must-win every week. Arlington FC, another APL team. They are relatively new, but they've kind of shot on the scene in a hurry. And they have a side, I believe, playing in the DC Premier League. They also had a side that earned promotion in American Premier League, went from Division 1 to Division 2, and did rather well this season. They made it to the playoffs in their first season in Division 1. They were unable to make it to the championship, but they're a strong side, and they'll certainly contend for one of those top two spots in Group B. Prince William Nova, I didn't really have a crest to use, so I just kind of stuck the Prince William in all red on the front. I don't truthfully know much about the side other than they're a new side within EPSL, the Eastern Premier League. They're, I think it's an under-21 squad underneath of Nova FC that is based out of Prince William County. That's all I know. I apologize to the Sheddas if I misquoted any of that, and anyone else running that team. If anyone's in the chat and knows more, then please feel free to correct me, because I don't want to put false information out there. But that's my understanding, and I don't know much about the team, so I don't know whether to, credit or discredit them. But we'll certainly look forward to seeing how they prove themselves in this State Cup format. Moving on to our final group of Virginia, and final group in general is the Virginia Estudiantes FC, team that's near and dear to my heart. I've played some games in net for them, and we'll look to hopefully do so in the future. Estudiantes, they made it to the finals in both Virginia Super Soccer League seasons that they played this season, spring and fall, losing both of those matches to Virginia Dream. The first one last season, they lost 3-0. And this season, they lost a 2-1 game on a rough, cold, windy, rainy day, which kind of hampered the playability of both sides. But Virginia Dream were victorious over them. Estudiantes, they have the power to compete, with most any team on the board here. As we've said with a few of them, it's about showing up consistently. I think that can be said to some degree with any team in amateur soccer, but there's a few teams where it really kind of jumps out to you based on their past performances. So Estudiantes, they'll see themselves as one of the favorites in the group. Los Toros FC, to some, they might be the most well-known team on this group. They've done very well for themselves within the American Premier League and in general in the Northern Virginia area. Coached and managed, I believe, by Dave Mastron, although there is at least one or two other gentlemen coaching with him, and I do apologize for forgetting. See, this is why I try not to name drop, because then I start to name drop, but then I realize I don't know as many names as I think I do. So Los Toros, they're going to be a good one. they always have enough bodies. They have a they have a second team, kind of a reserve side as well. Plenty of able bodies and dedicated players to draw on. So you'll see the best from them week in, week out. I think there's a bit of a rivalry that goes back with Los Toros and Estudiantes, as those teams were kind of coming into fruition around the same time. So that'll be an exciting one. They play on, I think, February 11th. And then finally, Virginia Marauders. They are the final team in Group C. They play their ball in the Eastern Premier League as well as in the USL2 during the summer. They have a relationship with Nova FC. I wouldn't say that they're a reserve team, direct reserve team, but I know that there is some sort of relationship between Nova and Marauders FC, so I don't want to misspeak there. But they do have a solid player base to call on. I would put them in the totem between Nova, Prince William Nova, and Marauders. I would say in the middle, although I'm sure they'll feel they can compete with Nova on any day, as with any other team on this group. So Group C will be another tough one. Honestly, Group C might be as tough as Group A, or really any team on the board. So with that said, we will move along with the structure for qualification. First, I just want to see who has tuned in. Welcome, Sambas. I see we got a few diehards on here on a Sunday, just watching me talk about State Cup stuff. Please, if anyone has any questions as I'm going along, feel free to put them in the chat so I can answer your questions. I will be happy to do so. I'm excited. And feel free if any questions. I will say I am not an official administrator of the tournament, in that I'm not running the tournament with Maryland State Soccer Association. However, I do have an ear with the gentleman running the tournament. So if it's something, a request, a question that you need help with, I can contact Fran and Tony. They do an excellent job running the tournament. And I am going to continue to try to get the word out and promote this thing, because we have a special soccer football culture in the state of Maryland, in Virginia, in the DMV. And it's important that our players get the recognition, our teams get the recognition that they deserve. With that said, Sambas has our first questions. When is Estudiantes' first game and where? So that's an excellent question. All of the matches, all of group play in MDV Cup will start next Sunday. So 1 week from today on the 14th. However, Estudiantes have a bye on the 14th because playing a round robin of 3, you only play 2 games, the other 2 teams in the group, so they'll skip on the 14th. February 21st, they will play their first game, which is... Sorry, not the 21st, because we're skipping the 21st, going to the 28th. On February 28th, Estudiantes play Virginia Marauders 7 p.m. at Langley High School Stadium. So that is January 28th, Langley High School Stadium, 7 p.m. against Virginia Marauders. All this information can be found marylandsoccer.com. I am going to post a link in the chat for your viewing pleasure. If you can't click on the link in the chat, just copy it and then paste it into your browser in another tab, and that'll show you everything you need to see. You can navigate it yourself. I'm going to put a picture of the first week's play. Oh, that's not the first week's play. Well, my wife's about to walk in the door, any moment now. So behind me, you'll see welcome.
Hi.
Cheryl Sydney, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I made my little setup right here in front of the door.
I know, this is very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Well, if you don't mind, I don't know how long I'll be, but
No, you're fine. Enjoy.
all right. So, as I was saying, group play will start on the 14th, and we're playing every other week so that teams can play in both the MDV Cup and their localized state cups. In Maryland, that's the Stewart and the Rowland Cup. In Virginia, it's just called the Virginia State Cup, as I understand it, or the MDCVA, the Metro Virginia DC Cup. Too many too many letters. I can't keep them all straight, but those will take place on alternating weeks. So the 21st and then the 4th of February, the weeks in between. And all of that can be found on the State Cup MSSA. Get my camera back. So, hopefully that answered that questions. Sambas is asking, will any games be live streamed? So, the plan as of now is any team can reach out and hire DMV Sports Media. The live streaming is not included in the tournament, although there may be a chance that MSSA will contract DMV Sports Media to live stream maybe the semifinals or the finals of each tournament. I still have to work out the details there. However, it will be on a la carte basis, if you will. Teams can reach out and reserve DMV Sports Media to come and live stream broadcast, do commentary if that interests. I am offering limited time winter rates, so reach out, and if your team is interested, feel free to contact me at my email dmvsportsmedia@gmail.com or at my phone number, which is listed on our social media platforms, Twitter and on Instagram. Samson, welcome. Sammy, I don't have merch available for sale yet. However, we are working on that. I'm glad you asked, Samson. We are working on bringing merch. Let me ask my head of logistics. Do we have any information on when merchandise may become available?
Hello, everybody. Yes. Oh, it's too much to the left.
Sorry.
Our director is having some difficulties.
It's not like I do this for a living or anything.
Yes, merch will be available very soon. We're working on that. We're doing custom merch, right?
Yeah, custom merch will be available. However, if I find something that people really like and I feel that it is something that people will buy, be it a sweater or maybe a patch, like a Super Soccer League patch, something that can be sewn into your clothing, I would be open to holding merchandise on hand available. I just don't want to get caught with a whole bunch of embroidered shirts that no one's going to buy. So right now it is kind of custom orders. If your team wants, a custom order of jerseys, I'm happy to order those, but they just need to be placed ahead of time.
Yeah.
So I know that's a kind of a long, vague answer, but we're working on it, is the short of it. So.
The short answer will be that when you place the order, would
the turnaround time
will be like about 3 weeks ahead for custom orders. Just to be sure about the shipping logistics, and also it's custom too. So it's your specifications. So also that needs to be worked on. So that's why I'll say about 3 weeks. But we are working on giving the best prices in the market, and we're doing the best we can to make it more affordable. And because we know that price is it's one of the highest factors when it comes to ordering, and we want to make sure that we're ahead of that. So that's one of the things. But yeah, it will be available 100%.
Well, there you have it on DMV Sports Media Merch. We're going to get back into talking about state cups now. So I've mentioned the dates for the MDV Cup, the group play, which is February 14th, January 14th, January 28th, and February 14th. And then immediately following group play, or rather 2 weeks after group play, we will get into the first round. The first round is what qualifies teams for the quarterfinals. 4 teams will skip the first round entirely. They will earn a bye. The top 4 seeded teams, which is the 2 teams that won their group and then have the 4 best records. 2 of the teams that win their group will still have to play in the first round in order to get into the quarterfinals, and that will be determined by points, goal differential, goals for, goals against. All of the tiebreakers can be listed on MSSA's rules page. The first round will take place on the 25th of February. The quarterfinals are slated to start on the 3rd of March, and then the semifinals March 10th, and the finals of the MDV Cup on 17th of March. However, this is all tentative. We are playing an outdoor state cup in the middle of the winter. We're playing 3 state cups in the middle of winter outdoor, so snow, ice, inclement weather can push this back. So that's just the preliminary plan. If there's any sort of cancellation or postponement, I think what you would see is the possibility of weekday matches, and the possibility to postpone to play concurrently during a season. If the championship has to take place on a Wednesday when teams in the season are playing on a Sunday, then that's what we'll do. But we'll make sure, or the Maryland State Soccer Association will make sure to do what is fair for the most teams. With that said, Fred, to be honest, that is a good question. I believe in the past, John Henderson has had assignments for the state cups, John Henderson, but I would have to ask Fran and Tony who is assigning. But I'll get in touch with them. I think you have my contact, but if not, I'll reach out to you, and once I find out, I'll let you know. If I forget to, feel free to contact me or send me an email, dmvsportsmedia@gmail.com, and would love to get you in touch with whoever's doing the assigning, because I think it's going to be an exciting tournament. We'd love to have all the best refs on board. So with that said, I'm going to talk a little about the Stewart and Rowland Cup, the other primary tournaments that Maryland State Soccer Association is putting on concurrently with the MDV Cup. The Stewart Cup is the elimination tournament which qualifies teams for the Amateur National Cup. If you win Maryland State Cup, then you go on, you play a team at the regional level. Typically it's Westchester or Clifton Elite, a team from the New Jersey, New York, Delaware, Pennsylvania area. And that will allow teams to continue on and potentially win the National Amateur Cup, which Christos has done. I think it was 2018 they won the National Amateur Cup, and I do believe Aegean Hawks have won the Amateur Cup as well. The winner of the Amateur Cup automatically qualifies for a U.S. Open Cup spot. It's a really prestigious award, and there is prize money associated with that. In the Stewart Cup, this season, it is a kind of a smaller field than the MDV Cup, which is why I'm covering the MDV Cup. I can't possibly cover everything in depth and just trying to do the most aggregate good. So in the Stewart Cup, Christos FC, you know them, you love them or hate them. They're probably one of the top seeds. Steel Pulse, likewise, one or the 2 seed. They will be playing in the Stewart Cup. DC-11, Cap City, they will also be playing in the Stewart Cup. Moco 1776, and then Das Beer Hall FC from the Super Soccer League, and A3 Highlanders from the Super Soccer League. So a lot of representation from the Super Soccer League, Maryland Super Soccer League, in the Stewart Cup. And that will start on the 11th February, which means I got some of the dates wrong for... No. The Stewart Cup starts on the 11th of February. Now, the semifinals will start on the 25th of February. And if you're wondering, what if my team plays in the MDV Cup and the Stewart Cup on the same day? The tournament planners specifically scheduled teams that play in the Stewart Cup to have a bye on February 11th. I had to do a double take here when I saw that. But so Christos, for example, they play in the Stewart Cup on February 11th, but they will have a group stage bye during that week. That will be the week they don't have a round robin group stage play. Likewise with Steel Pulse. So the tournament planners, Fran and Tony, did a great job making it work. The Rowland Cup, which is Maryland's oldest cup competition, going back to 1914. That's a long time. You're talking about the beginning of the First World War is when the Rowland Cup started. That one will start on the 21st of January. By the way, I didn't mention the Stewart Cup started in 1932, so somewhere in the early Great Depression, about almost 10 years before the Second World War, or the U.S.'s participation in the Second World War. For all you history buffs out there, these are really kind of a big deal, for lack of a better terminology. I think if you know about the State Cup in Maryland, then you're all about it and you're obsessed with it. I myself have been bitten by the bug, and I'm here to evangelize anyone who doesn't know about it. But it's a really, really strong tradition here. Maybe not the most mainstream tradition, but I really think once you participate and find out about these tournaments, you will come back for more, which makes it that much more exciting that the MDV Cup started off this year. You're talking about a tournament starting in 1914 and continuing till present day, a tournament starting in 1932, continuing through present day, and now Maryland State Soccer Association, 100 years into their existence, has started another State Cup tournament, and we're here for it. With that said, we'll go through the roster of who's playing in the Rowland Cup. A3 Highlanders, we mentioned them, recently promoted MSSL Division I team. Baltimore Kickers, kind of a storied club, one of the leaders in Division II Maryland Super Soccer League. Das Beer Hall FC, Division I MSSL. Ristosi FC, they are Division I MSSL. Glenmont FC, they're a new team playing in Eastern Premier Soccer League, the EPSL. Florence FC, out of the Maryland Majors, formerly EPSL, and potentially could see them coming up against some Super Soccer League teams in the near future. Hint, hint. Baltimore City FC, Maryland Majors team. They're one of the strong teams in Maryland Majors. They won. I want to get this right. I know they won the Maryland Majors in the spring, and I think they made it to the championship, narrowly lost out in penalty kicks to Columbia in the fall. So we'll see Baltimore City FC in there. Columbia FC. I wonder if that's a typo or not. Columbia FC. Okay, so there is a Colombia, like the country, Colombi, Colombia FC will be competing. And then Columbia FC, Columbia, like the suburb of Baltimore, Columbia in Howard County, will also be competing. Cap City DC-11 is another Rowland Cup team. Moco 1776, they will also be competing. We mentioned Christos. Maybe we didn't, but Steel Pulse, Christos will also be involved. And again, I know I kind of fumbled through these, but the table and the schedule is on the MSSA page. I strongly encourage you to check it out. I will put links to each. That's not good. Thanks, Fred. We're back. Not sure what happened there, but I will put links in the chat for first the Rowland Cup, and now for the Stewart Cup. The MDV Cup link is up top. Hopefully the audio is still coming through. I have my audio set up separately, so I don't think that would have affected anything with regard to the audio. But those are the links that I encourage you to check out for the full list of teams and schedules. And I will briefly go into a little of the history of the cups. I'll read right from the MSSA page, so I can blame them if there's any inaccuracies here. The Maryland Cup tradition has a long and rich history that goes back more than a century. The Rowland Cup is Maryland's oldest cup competition, first played in 1914, and is the state's open championship. The Stewart Cup began in 1932 for teams vying for the state's amateur title. The Morton Cup, which is the cup I haven't discussed yet, and we'll get into the Morton Cup. Morton Cup was created to honor former MSSA Vice President Darwin Lefty Morton, and is for teams not competing in either the Rowland or the Stewart Cup. And we also offer the Maryland Over 30, the Over 40, the Over 50 Cups, and our teams are also eligible to play tournaments organized by our leagues and other USASA members. An example of that would be the Maryland DC Virginia Cup, which isn't technically a Maryland State Cup because it includes Virginia and DC teams as well, but it is a USASA Cup, which is just an exciting event to kind of create a Champions League amongst all the best teams. I think a lot of us talk about, well, what would happen if the best teams from APL play the best teams from the Super Soccer League, the Maryland Super Soccer League, or what happens if the WPL plays against the DC Premier League? You know, and this is the tournament we get to see it just by merit. You know, who advances from the groups, who advances through the knockout stage. You know, How will those teams compete against the EPSL and the Eastern Premier Soccer League, which is really important for soccer in this country. There's too many barriers. There's too many closed leagues that, create a new league and then they take away competition from existing leagues. And while we don't have a unified promotion relegation structure, we do have tournaments and events like this where teams can go out, prove themselves, earn bragging rights, and at the end of the day, that's what all of us old guys are out here trying to do. I mean, there's a small group from among some of these teams that could or have gone professional, and that's exciting in and of itself to play against those guys. I think some of the guys from Christos, some of the guys, more than a few of the guys from Steel Pulse, Nova, possibly Los Toros, but for the most part, we're all here playing because we love the game, and we know we're not going to go anywhere professional with it, but the bragging rights is, for us, more than enough. The Morton Cup was mentioned in that little blurb, and the Morton Cup is the tournament for teams not necessarily affiliated with a Maryland State Soccer Association league, or for a team just looking for a slightly less competitive tournament. I hadn't meant to leave them out. It's just I kind of have to prioritize where I go with my announcements. The Morton Cup is, of course, a great opportunity for teams to kind of test the water. Sometimes teams come in, they don't know where where's the right level for them. They come in, and if they do well in the Morton Cup, then they might go on and enter the Stewart and Rowland Cup. However, I should note, and this is something I've put on social media, players should be very careful not to register for the Morton Cup unless they are completely certain that they won't want to play or be rostered for a Stewart Cup team, a Rowland Cup team, or a Maryland, D.C., Virginia Cup team, because that tournament precludes you from any competition within any of those. You can play on a Maryland, D.C., Virginia team and a Stewart Cup team and a Rowland Cup team, and it doesn't even have to be the exact same team competing in all three. However, the Morton Cup means you just have to play Morton Cup. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just think that teams or players don't make themselves aware, and then they get stuck, and then they try to undo it. And unfortunately, the Cup administrators can't undo it because there would be a loophole for kind of ringers to come in and play with the Morton Cup teams, which is supposed to be kind of a lesser competition, and then absolutely dominate it in theory. And the Cup organizers don't want that to be the case. Awesome. Thank you, Fred. So just be wary of that for any team managers. Tell your players, just be careful about where you're signing up. These players just agree to play anywhere for love of the game, and I'm not knocking it because they just want to show up and play. But I would hate to see players barred from competition with their natural team or a team that they really wanted to play with because they didn't pay attention and they signed up for a Morton Cup team. They're very serious about the restrictions. If a player has already played in a Morton Cup game, they really won't be allowed to play. And that's, from what I've seen in the past, that's a final judgment. The Morton Cup did start today. I will go through who is competing in the Morton Cup. There are two groups in the Morton Cup. Group A has Columbia FC 2. That's the Columbia's reserve team. FC 4188. They are certainly a powerhouse team. Formerly Maryland Super Soccer League. I think they're good enough to play in Stewart, Rowland, MD, Maryland, DC, Virginia Cup. However, they elected not to play in any affiliated Maryland, USASA affiliated leagues, so they were not eligible for competition in any of those cups. So they're the second team in Group A. Frederick Spartans, not familiar with them, but we'll see how they do. Ja Raiders, they play in Maryland Majors. They've been around for several years. And Street Footy Football Club, that they formerly played in Maryland Super Soccer League as well as UPSL, and they have since withdrawn from both of those competitions. So not eligible to play in the other tournaments, but they will get to play in the Morton Cup, which I think it's great that they have this option available for teams. In Group B, ACFC, which is Arundel County FC. They formerly played in Maryland Super Soccer League Division II. Great to see them back out there. Banfield, not entirely sure who Banfield is, but we welcome them. Das Beer Hall United, which is the second team of Das Beer Hall. Kind of a little aside about Das Beer Hall. Das Beer Hall, they've traditionally played in the Morton Cup, and they've won it on multiple occasions. I think the last couple of years they've won the Morton Cup. This year they elected to finally test their luck in, the Stewart and the Rowland Cup, especially now that they've earned promotion up to MSSL Division 1. But they will now have a big enough player pool to field a second team, there is no overlap. So we just talked about how playing in the Morton Cup makes you ineligible for the Stewart and Rowland Cup. Just so anyone who's looking at this is confused, how's Das Beer Hall in both, or how's Columbia FC in both? That is exclusively a second team of guys not electing to play in the Rowland or the Stewart Cup. So with that said, Etihad FC is also in Group B. They used to play in the Maryland Super Soccer League Division II. They're now in Maryland Majors. Great group of guys. And then Jessup FC is the final team in Group B. I'm not entirely certain how many teams advance from each group. I would imagine it's 2 from each that going to a semifinal. However, why don't I just scroll down? Yeah, it's 2 from each group. And that should be a good tournament. I mean, you got 10 teams all looking to lift the trophy. A mixed bag in terms of quality. I know 4188, if I had to bet blindly, just looking at this table, not knowing much about some of the teams, I'd say 4188, it's their tournament to lose, but we'll see who they bring, and then we'll see who everyone brings. So that actually started today, so we should see some results coming in maybe tonight or tomorrow. That'll let us know kind of the relative strength of each team. Take a look at the over 30 tournament. The Maryland State Soccer Association puts on these Masters tournaments to allow players of any age to compete and not feel like they're, slowing their team down. Some of these guys, they are just incredible, mentally, they know the field, their soccer IQ is off the roof, but at some age, we all start to lose a step. The over 30, over 40, and over 50 cups allows those players to continue playing at a high level and competing for a state championship, while allowing some of the younger guys to come take over at whatever team they initially played with. Those teams competing in the over 30 Cup would be Das Beer Hall. We talked about them. The Yins Bods, which is just Yins United combined with another APL team, Fighting Bods. Baltimore Kickers, they have a team, which makes sense. They've been around for a while. The DC Flames from Washington, D.C. have a team. Columbia FC, Columbia like the country, have a team. And Washed Up FC. That's good. I haven't heard of Washed Up FC before, but they have a team. And then Christos FC, of course. Christos, the team, they've been around since 1997, I believe. They've got players all the way from 16, 17 years old, all the way up to over 50 guys. So they'll have teams at every level, and they will be one of the best, if not the best, at every level. So that will start on March 3rd, the quarterfinals and the semifinals on March 10th, the finals on March 17th. The over 40 Cup, with each age group, the field gets a little smaller. There's less teams at each higher age, Columbia FC has an over 40 team. Baltimore Kickers has an over 40 team. And Christos has an over 40 team. So just 3 teams playing for that top spot. And then the over 50, I believe there's just 2 teams. No, there are 3 teams this season. That starts on the 17th of March. Baltimore Kickers, OG Soccer FC, and Christos FC. So great to see some of the seasoned veterans continuing to play and compete for a cup. I'd like to come out to one of these games to see, because I'm sure that the level is very high, just a little bit slower than the Open Cup and the younger cups. So, with that said, I am running out of content a little bit. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. Fred, you've asked some great questions. Sambas, great questions. Sammy, I appreciate you bringing up the merch thing. Some selfish promotion for DMV Sports Media. Zach Salazar, thank you for helping me get on with the audio, the proper audio. I don't know who of each of you is still there, but hopefully this will serve as kind of a reference point for anyone who's interested in the cups and has questions. I would like to kind of do a weekly review. We'll see if I follow through with that. I don't want to commit to that because my schedule's about to get busy as these state cups start up. On Sundays, I will be out in the field either playing. I'm playing in the over 31 and possibly in the Open Cup. But I'll also be live streaming and filming a lot of these games. So tune in on DMV Sports Media on YouTube. I know I'll be live streaming all of the Steel Pulse games. There's a chance I'll be hired to do some Ristosi games. There's also a good chance I'll be live streaming some Estudiantes games, and a few other teams have reached out to figure out if they're going to be hiring me as well. So if you're a player and you want to get your game live streamed, tell your coach, hire DMV Sports Media. I don't mean to brag, but we're the best in the business, and we will get not only an excellent live stream for your families to watch at home, but a quality of videotape that you can use for future highlights, in case you want to put together a highlight package to play at whatever level, be it professional, college, or just to have for your memories. That's what we do. I'm going to take a brief moment to think if there's anything else I wanted to mention. Well, it looks like my camera is frozen again. We're back. Play with my toy for a little bit. My camera toy. Don't need YouTube taking this down for my raunchy unawareness. So, now whoever stayed this long, let me get controversial with it. Let me start picking some teams who I think are going to win each. So, Morton Cup, I predict... Who do I predict in the Morton Cup? Oh, 41-88, easy. In the Stewart Cup... Steel Pulse is a team that every year they win. I believe they've won the Rowland Cup. No, actually, I don't think they've won. They have not won a state cup to my knowledge. However, they've won just about everything else. They've done really well at Nisa Nation. They did well at the Nisa Independent Cup. They won the Super Cup. They've won the Maryland Super Soccer League. I think this is their year to take home either the Stewart or Rowland. But if I had to choose, I'll say the Stewart Cup. They will be taking home the Stewart Cup this year. And they will be advancing and representing Maryland at the Regional Cup. In the Rowland Cup, let's see. I'm going to look at the field and see who has the best path forward. All right, Steel Pulse can have Stewart. Christos is taking Rowland Cup. So Christos, Rowland, Steel Pulse, Stewart Cup. Nothing controversial here so far. 4188 for Morton Cup. Now for the Maryland District Virginia Cup. No matter who I choose, I'm going to be pissing off 17 teams, and that's just fine. But if I'm right, we're going to go back to this audio, this video right here, and I'll be posting it all over social media. By the way, the date is January 7th. Let's see if I can prove that. January 7th. Well, I don't know if you can see that, but anyways, January 7th, Noah Walker of DMV Sports Media is picking. So I could just be that guy and just pick Estudiantes. But I think this one's going to be a Steel Pulse as well. I do. I think Steel Pulse have the depth. They have the players to go and win 2 of the 3 major cups this season. You heard it here first. Steel Pulse and Stewart and MDV Cup. Christos in the Rowland Cup. And 4188 in the Morton Cup. So now that I've babbled on for long enough and I haven't seen any other questions, feel free to reach out, email me, or send me a message on Instagram. The email is dmvsportsmedia@gmail.com. I'll put it in the chat. It's listed all over my YouTube. It's listed on all my social media pages, but just in case, dmvsportsmedia@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in and for engaging with this live stream. If this is something you like, feel free, leave a comment, leave a like, and definitely feel free to leave any constructive feedback, because I would like to start kind of a weekly podcast almost, where I go over the teams in the area, some of the players, young players, prospective players, to spotlight some of what we've got going, and I'll use the highlights as well as my insight into what I see. I would like to start bringing some guests on. So that's the direction I'd like to start going with DMV Sports Media. Of course, I know I've got a long way to go. This was a bit of a train wreck, but I appreciate you staying with us and tuning in. With that said, enjoy the rest of your Sunday and check out the MSSA website. Come out next Sunday, support your favorite team, and if you can't make it out, definitely tune in on DMV Sports Media Live. We've got you covered with the live streams of any teams that are hiring us. So with that said, have a great Sunday, everybody, and I'll see you next time.